Hi everyone, today I'm going to be doing a try on of a collection that I was really excited to pick up, and that is the Too Faced Peaches and Cream collection. There are so many items from this collection that I wanted to purchase, but I want to say I narrowed it down, but I actually have like 5 pieces here, and that's only because I couldn't get my hands on a few more. It was kind of an annoying launch for somebody who wanted to buy as much as I did because certain items were not available on the date of launch, so I had to wait a little bit to get a lipstick, which just got delivered to me this morning, and then I couldn't get the highlighter, I couldn't get the bronzer, and I was like, what am I gonna do? I do have one of the bronzers though, and this is the more cuter one. This is the Sweetie Pie bronzer. Anyway, I could talk about these products forever, but I haven't actually tried them except for the eyeshadow palette. So I thought I would just do a try on and give you my thoughts as we go along. A little bit of information about this collection. This is a new line for Too Faced, which means that every season there's going to be updates. So I'm scared for my pocketbook because I'm really into the Peaches thing by Too Faced. This is the Peaches and Cream collection, which smells slightly different from the Sweet Peach version. This does have more of a creamier peach scent. So if you love the original one, you may not necessarily like the scent of this one, and vice versa. Maybe you hated the scent of the Sweet Peach one and you'll think that this one is a little bit better. For me, I do prefer the Sweet Peach. Doesn't make a huge difference though. I'm gonna use these products regardless. All right, let's get into trying these on. All right, so as per usual, I'm gonna start off with my eyes. I just prefer doing this before my foundation so I don't have to worry about too much cleanup. So we're gonna go straight in with the palette. Oh, I wanna make this a bright look, so I'm gonna try to go for that. I'm gonna start off with Just Peachy on a fluffy brush. This one is by Royal & Langnickel, and it's called the Super Crease, and I'm gonna put that in my crease. So I couldn't wait to use this palette because there was no stopping me, frankly. So I have tested it out a little bit. So far, I've enjoyed all of the shades that I've used. The only one that I actually ran into an issue with is actually Peach Sangria. Oddly enough, that's the only one in this palette that's not a full-on matte. It's a bit of a satin, and I had a little bit of adherence problem to my eyelid, but in the end, the look was good. I was just surprised that the one shade that was not a matte didn't work out nearly as well. All right, I love that color, but I want to brighten up the crease area. So I'm going to go into Peach Punch on a Real Techniques base shadow brush and just layer that on top of the crease shade. I think this Peach Punch shade is my favorite in the palette. It's so vibrant. For the lid shade, I'm going into Peaches and Cream on a MAC 239 brush and layering that all over the lid. I love how this is coming out. So I want to deepen up the outer corner a little bit. So I'm going to go into Peach Sangria. Okay, I like it, but I still want a little bit more depth. So I'm going into Chocolate Dipped and patting that right at the base of my lash line. For the inner corner, I'm going with a Sephora Collection smudge brush into Peach Meringue and putting that directly on the inner corner. For the lower lash line, I'm just going back into Peach Punch and using a pencil brush to line my lower lash line. And then back into Peach Sangria with the same brush and sticking it on the outer corner. To highlight the brow bone, I'm going into Peach Meringue on a MAC 275 brush and then just running that over my brow bone area. I love how this is coming out. I know not everybody is in love with this like blown out red eye look, but this is one of my favorite things to do, and I'm really happy with how this is coming together. All right, I finished off the eyes with some liquid liner, some mascara, and then smaller false lashes because I really want to show off how great this eye look is. This is right up my alley, guys. This is the kind of like red but punchy, well, I guess red in general is pretty punchy, but like coral, peach, red, like bang on the eyes. I love this kind of look. All right, let's move on to the face and try the rest of the products out. I'm not much of a primer person, so I skipped out on that, but I went ahead and got the Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation. I have the shade Snow, which I think is a good match for me. I did also pick up the shade Porcelain, which is normally that shade in the summer in the Born This Way version, but I didn't feel like the color match was good enough, so Snow seems to be the way to go. It comes with a pump top, but it's also a squeezy tube, which is really nice. And the foundation is quite liquidy. I put it out on my hand just to make sure about the color match. And I was very happy to discover that it is a liquid foundation and not a cream, because I'm just not a huge fan of creams in general. And usually I feel like when they come in this kind of packaging, it's a cream. So I'm just gonna go in with a Damp Real Technique sponge and put that all over my face. Now this is really just a first impressions video. I am gonna do a full like time trial on my face throughout a work day, but for the sake of this video, this is just gonna be about application. And this is definitely a good color match. I'm surprised actually. I felt like Snow in the Born This Way foundation was a lot paler than this, but maybe the colors are a little bit off with the formula change. Okay, so I like the consistency of it. It looks good on my skin on first application. I would definitely say this is a medium to almost full coverage foundation. Again, it's almost completely covering that broken blood vessel that I always mention. It does have more of a satin finish. I think they said it's like a velvet. Yeah, soft focus velvety finish. I agree with that. I don't feel like it's totally dead matte, which is funny because this is called Comfort Matte. But anyway, I like the finish of it. All right, now that I'm looking quite flat in tone, let's go in with this Sweetie Pie bronzer. I think this thing is so freaking cute. Oh, I love it so much. I'm just gonna apply this the same way I would any bronzer. So it's gonna go on my temples, the backs of my cheekbones, and along my jawline. There is a hint of gold overspray on it. That'll come off on your first use, but I'm not really seeing it transfer my skin. So you don't need to be worried about gold flecks appearing everywhere. For me, it's quite natural, I would say. I think if you're a deeper skin person, you would not be able to wear this very well. You probably have to go for their melting powder bronzer, which also came out with this collection. That looks much deeper in tone and I think would be better suited for somebody who's not fair like me. Which is a bit of a shame because this is so cute that I want everybody to own this. I like it. I'm happy. Bronzer is always the thing that I want to love in a collection, so I'm really happy when it works out for me. All right, let's move on to blush. I have this adorable little compact of the Peach My Cheeks Melting Powder Blush. I have the shade Peach Berry, which is quite deep, but these colors tend to go on quite red rosy, which I like. So it does apparently melt into a powder. I've never touched this before, so I don't really know how this is gonna work. I'm gonna try a duo fiber brush and just see how this goes. Put a little bit of product on my brush and then dab it on. Okay, good. It's not too strong. Sometimes you dab in these things and you're like, boom, on the cheeks. And just tap that around to blend it out. It's funny, as soon as you tap in here, it starts to look like powder. I wonder what this feels like. Feels like a cream. Oh. Yeah, it is a melting powder. It turned into cream and just like the texture totally changed. That was interesting. I'm gonna move on to highlighter at this point. Sadly, I couldn't get my hands on the melting powder highlighter in the collection. It was just never in stock when I was trying to buy it. So I'm just gonna go in with the Too Faced Love Light in the shade Array of Light. It's got a bit of a peach tone to it, so I think it kind of goes with the whole look. Brows are on at this point, so I look a little bit more put together. And the last thing I have to try now is one of their lipsticks. And I have the shade Peach Beach because it's a coral shade and these are the colors that I'm attracted to the most. The packaging is really luxurious. I mean, Too Faced has always had decently nice lipstick packaging before, but this feels a lot more heavier duty. The whole bullet is imprinted with peaches and there's a little TF for Too Faced on the top of the bullet. And there we have it. That is my finished Too Faced Peaches and Cream look. I really like it. I mean, it's not unexpected because these colors are really up my alley, but it's really nice to use the products and then they're not only like pretty to look at, but they're also nice to use. The colors are beautiful and realistically, there wasn't a really bad dud in the whole bunch. So let's recap all of these items. First of all, the Just Peachy Mattes palette. Really like this. I like that it's all mattes. I like mattes more than I like shimmers, so for me this is really up my alley. Peach Sangria is the only one that I've struggled a little bit with. Not so much today because I put it in the outer corner and it was fine there, but I think 2 days ago I tried it on the lid and it just didn't blend out as nicely there. It's just something to keep in mind. It doesn't destroy the appeal of this palette for me. I think this whole thing is incredible. Overall, I think the color selection in here is really, really good and there is way less repetition in color in here compared to the Sweet Peach palette. I felt like the Sweet Peach had two orangey browns that were the same, and then there was two like bronze caramelized colors that were the same, that were just repetitive and unnecessary. I don't feel that way about this palette. I know some people are going to say that these two are very similar, but for me, I can use them in totally different ways. Mostly because one has more of a peachy pink undertone and then this one is more yellow. So depending on the makeup that I'm wearing, I don't necessarily always want a yellow highlight. Sometimes I want a more pinky peach one. So for me, this really works out well. And the best part of this palette for me is this whole center section right here. I love how punchy those colors are, especially Peach Punch. That one is incredible. Really, really like that in my crease. I think it really adds a bang to a look that I'm always looking for. So this one is a definite winner for me. I'm saying definite winner like I'm gonna have a dud in this collection. I don't really, so keep that in mind. Onto the foundation, really pleased with this as well. When it first went on, I thought it was a bit more of a satin finish, but now that it's dried down, it looks more matte to me. So maybe that was just the dry down factor. In terms of how comfortable this is to wear or how long it wears, I have no idea. They claim 14 hours and I will do a full review on it. But for first application, it feels really nice. Maybe still a little bit tacky, so I don't know if it's gonna dry down a little bit over time. I do think the shade Snow is a pretty good match for me. I'm usually about a MAC NW20, and it seems to be matching my neck quite well. I think some people may be a little bit disappointed in this because I'm not the palest person in the world. I'm quite fair, but I'm not that pale. So if you're paler than me and you're trying to look for a foundation match in this shade range, I'm not sure if you're gonna find it, but hopefully they'll release more shades. As for the Sweetie Pie bronzer, I love this thing. I think it's so adorable. I'm always drawn to bronzer anyway, so for me to get something that's in a little bit of a pattern, smells like peaches, applies quite well, and is like light enough in tone that I don't feel like I'm overdoing it on my skin, this really works out well for me. If you are deeper in skin tone, you may struggle. I don't think that this is gonna work for very many people who are darker than me. Maybe if you're around a MAC NC25, you might get some color off of this, but if you're deeper than that, I would pass. It's not gonna be deep enough for you. Moving on to the blush, I like this, but I have to say out of everything I tried, I think it's the item that I was the least excited about. It's beautiful, it went on nicely, it had a really interesting texture, but in terms of like excitement level, this was just near the bottom. I do like the look and I would recommend it. I think it is one of the easier to use cream texture blushes because you don't get a ton of color on your brush, which is a good thing when you're working with a product like this. And as for the lipstick, I love it. I love these kind of coral shades. They make me so happy. It is a matte formula, but it is that not rigid matte formula. Like it feels like there's some flex to my lips. It doesn't feel like they're gonna get dried out and uncomfortable very quickly. It is a comfort matte finish, which I think is what they call this. Nope, sorry, they call it moisture matte. That makes sense to me. It is matte with a hint of a sheen. It's not a cream finish, but it is towards those more matte, comfortable finishes that we've been seeing more and more lately. I really like this one. I think if I had to narrow it down and tell you what to buy specifically from this collection, I'd probably go with the palette. I think that's probably the most exciting thing in this entire launch to me. Again, love the shadows, love that they're all matte. Very easy to apply and they blend out nicely. And I would also choose the lipstick. I think this is really comfortable and the shades that they have are glorious. They've got purples, they've got reds, a lot of peaches, obviously, and some nude colors. So I think the lipstick is a good choice as well. So I'm gonna wrap it up there. That was my Too Faced Peaches and Cream try-on. I love trying out these products and I'm really happy to discover that I liked them all. Like there isn't something in here that I consider a dud. These were all really, really good. Let me know if you're gonna pick up anything from this collection and like tell me shade names. Tell me what product in specific you're excited about or you wanna get your hands on. I wanna hear all about it. Thank you so much for watching and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.